In this module, we'll be talking about the building electrification program itself. It's a good idea to have watched the other segments and the other modules first, just so you have a better overall concept of the permitting and code changes coming and what the EFR tool is really designed to do, as well as our top opportunities for electrification now. Having done all that, this building electrification program module will make a lot of sense. The building electrification program has multiple elements. So far, we've already talked about the electrification feasibility reports. Next up, we're going to talk about the program itself and some of the incentives that are available. Some important reminders: the EFR tool is available now as an online tool. And again, once you complete this course, pass the quiz, and you enroll, you'll be able to use this. We are also piloting and beginning programs right now to support both electrification as well as electrification feasibility reports to the market. And there's an interest form available right now as well. If you as a contractor are working with a building owner who's potentially asking some questions, or they're just asking you to provide some bids, and you think that there's some opportunities after hearing today's training, you can click on this interest form available here. Don't worry, we'll have more links as we go through, and this will actually direct the building owner to fill out an interest form. Once they've completed that, they can then potentially engage and join the building electrification program. Because this is an online training module, there's a limited amount of time and space for us to cover everything that's available. So we want to start by directing you to some of the support and resources that you can track down yourself as well. First up, the electrification program website. Again, with the PDF version of this, you can click on the link. During this video training, you can use your smartphone or tablet and scan that QR code, and it will bring up the electrification program. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, there are a lot of things that are included here. All types of information on how to plan for equipment replacement, overviews of the code changes, more information on the electrification feasibility report, an entire section on incentives, and then even some more background information on why it makes sense to electrify. So we highly recommend you visit the site, you put a star on it or bookmark it so this is readily available to you. This is going to be a great way for you to stay up to speed with all the things that are changing in the codes and permitting side of the equation, as well as in the electrification feasibility reports and the incentives and programs. The City and County of Denver has created some incentives here for multifamily and commercial buildings for the electrification of space and water heating equipment, starting again on March 1st of 2023 to align with the code and permit process changes. As a part of informing how these incentives would get designed, the city has been searching for quite a while now for multifamily and commercial buildings and have begun piloting some hot water and single zone space heating equipment. And this will continue for the next couple of years. This is all to more greatly inform how this program should align once we move past just permit process changes to actual equipment electrification requirements. So if you know a system you're looking at is near the end of its useful life, or just would like to learn more about this program, there is a form that you can link at here. Or if you're having trouble and you're just struggling, you can reach out to the program at electrification@denvergov.org. Next, let's talk about what's in the building electrification pilot program, or what's in the box. We're going to do this in two sections. First, we're going to talk about the portion of the pilot program that covers the electrification feasibility reports. And then next, we'll go to the portion of the program that covers the actual electrification or installation of equipment. So starting with what's in the building electrification pilot program for EFRs, the incentives will cover up to the full cost of an electrification feasibility report. This can also include, beyond just price, facilitation and support. Now, what do we mean by facilitation? Well, we can be talking about technical and design support, It could be product selection and installation best practices. We do include contractor training, contractor and building owner support, as well as coordination with the building owners and their contractors. We have some translation and interpretation services available, and we'll do some program navigation and resources, helping building owners find their way through the program. And finally, we'll provide any assistance we can in trying to identify external or additional incentives, perhaps those offered by the local utility, the state, or the federal government. Now, earlier in Module 2, we talked about equity priority buildings. And for these types of buildings, we offer up to $10,000 in facilitation. Standard buildings are not left out. We are still taking good care there, and we're providing up to $5,000 in facilitation for our standard buildings. On to part 2 of what's in the Building Electrification Pilot Program, or what is in the box. Here we're going to talk about the incentives themselves for electrification. So what we have to offer is, for selected participants, incentives to cover at least the incremental cost difference to install eligible dual fuel or heat pump equipment instead of the like-for-like natural gas equipment replacement that may have happened previously, or for a straight air conditioner to air conditioner replacement, and up to the total cost for the project, potentially including any necessary electrical or ductwork modifications. Now with this, there are some incentive caps and there are maximums per project. Again, for the equity priority buildings, which we described in Module 2, this is up to $90,000 in incentives, of course determined on a case-by-case basis, and up to 100% of the cost of the project. For our standard buildings, we are still offering quite a good incentive package here, up to $75,000 in incentives, and as you'd expect, determined on a case-by-case basis, up to 100% of the cost. So again, to round this out, the Building Electrification Pilot Program offers incentives for both doing the electrification feasibility report when selected as an option for permitting, as well as incentives to cover the incremental cost difference to actually install a dual fuel or full heat pump option instead of a like-for-like gas or straight air conditioning swap out. It was mentioned earlier that there may be additional incentives and financing and other opportunities available. These are just some of them. Xcel Energy does have some programs that cover quite a bit: lighting and equipment rebates, new building programs, EV options, renewables, strategic energy management, a lot of that. So there are some opportunities through Xcel Energy. Our team, again, will work as part of that facilitation to help identify which of these may make sense. But you may also want to, as a contractor, get pretty familiar, if you're not already, with what Xcel Energy has to offer. Some of the things that are a little specific, I mentioned this in one of the earlier modules, there is a steam to electric conversion incentive program. Slightly separate, but again, still integrated here. And this can help contribute to the refinancing capital stack and to help pay for upgrades in buildings that are currently being heated on steam. And then there's financing programs available for energy improvement projects. CPACE financing, the Colorado Clean Energy Fund being some of what we're talking about here. Of course, more incentives and financing may be coming on to market. As they do, the Building Electrification Program will be tracking them and doing everything possible to help ensure that you, the contractors, as well as the building owners, get the best experience and access to the most incentives and financing. If this is starting to sound even more appealing now than it did in the earlier modules, instead of forcing you to go back to find these links and QR codes, we're putting them up here again. There's an interest form here for your building owners. So you as a contractor, you're having a conversation with the building owner, you think this might make sense, they can scan this QR code or go to the link, and there's an interest form. Again, after completing the interest form, the program will reach out to them and determine if it makes sense for them to join the program. And then for you, the contractors or the building owners, to learn more about the code changes and permitting that we've been talking about throughout these modules, you can, again, break out your smartphone or tablet, scan this QR code on the right, and that will take you to the website helping to explain all the code and permitting changes in front of you. At the very beginning of our first module, we mentioned these key takeaways that we hope you would get from going through all of these modules. And let's just reference and refer to them once again. So the first part is, after taking these modules and then taking the quiz, again, it's a short quiz. You need to get 8 out of 10 correct. If you pass this quiz, you will get to be listed on the website as knowledgeable and capable of performing an electrification feasibility report. It is our hope that this may drive business in your direction as building owners become more and more interested and begin searching for contractors that can help them. The second key takeaway, the electrification feasibility reports were created as a screening tool for cost effectiveness, and they will be evolving over time to both reflect electrification requirements and the lessons that we learn with buildings that come through early in the programs. And finally, existing buildings have permit process changes now in 2023 and again in 2025, as well as electrification requirements for the equipment itself in 2025 and then later in 2027. Being up to speed now with these permit process changes, as well as the electrification requirements, puts you in an optimal position to be a great resource for the building owners and for yourself to help differentiate your business from competitors who are scrambling to try to understand these changes. Once you have passed the quiz and your business is listed on the City and County of Denver's website, the Building Electrification Program would like to follow up with you in approximately 90 days. This gives you an opportunity to potentially have done a few electrification feasibility reports and provided some consulting to some building owners. By us reaching out in that amount of time, we can check in to find out how comfortable you are with talking about the incentives, with discussing the permitting and code changes, and with using the electrification feasibility report. So please make sure that we have all your correct contact information and the best person in your company to connect with so we can make this happen. Some resources. First, the Energize Denver Electrification Program. If you have a PDF version of this, you can click directly on this link. You can also put this in your search engine. It's going to give you tons of related resources for you to look through and bring into your business model. It also has much more targeted information on the code changes, on the incentives, even more details on heat pumps and how to plan to make this work for you. There's also a subpage for Denver's electrification feasibility reports. This will give you a link directly to the EFR. You can sign up for a newsletter and you can see what kind of additional upcoming trainings might be available and much more. We mentioned this earlier. If you have buildings that have numerous pieces of equipment, potentially that are good candidates for partial or full electrification, or if you have building owners who engage with you and talk openly about electrifying their buildings, or perhaps if you as a contractor are embracing this and determining that this will be a core part of your business model moving forward, that electrification and partial electrification is something you want to offer your services around, I highly recommend downloading this guide, the cost-effective strategies for electrification. It again was created specifically for the City and County of Denver. You can either put this in your search engine and search for the name. If you've got a PDF version of this slide, you can click on the link, or you can break out right now your smartphone or tablet and scan that QR code, and it will take you to this guide, which you can easily download. We find this guide is, while nothing is all-encompassing, this guide helps tremendously in putting all of this into context and almost providing a roadmap for you to offer cost-effective strategies to your building owners. Here are some more terrific resources. Again, if you have a PDF version of this slide, you can click on any of these links. Otherwise, you can type any of these into your search engine. The first is NEEP, or the Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnerships, Cold Climate Air Source Heat Pump Specification and Product List. Now, this is truly designed for when you're looking at a gas residential style furnace and you want to upgrade this to a cold climate heat pump, whether that's a dual fuel or all electric system. This product list will give you over 100,000 different models that are available. There's also additional information like a size for heating tool that's built in there that can really help you have a discussion and show to a building owner that indeed this equipment can serve well even on our coldest days. So I highly recommend taking a look at this. Next up is the Better Buildings High Efficiency Rooftop Unit Tools. So again, there's some things on this site that and the connected sites that are not as great for contractors, but going here can find some common sizing guidance as well as RTU measurement and verification guidance, a fact sheet, and much, much more. So for those of you doing a lot of work with rooftop units, I highly recommend this one. And then finally, a really good supplement to what we just talked about on the cost-effective strategies guide. Here's a national roadmap for grid interactive efficient buildings. So again, if you as a business owner are saying, I believe that this needs to be a core part of our business model, because between codes and permitting changes, incentives, and general acknowledgement of our building owners that electrification is part of the future, having something like this national roadmap for grid interactive efficient buildings, along with the cost-effective strategies, can really help you think through how your business can be positioned to take advantage of this wave and put you in the right place to be a true consultant to your building owners. Now that we're winding down all of these modules, we're getting close to wrapping up the entire presentation. Upon completion of this, a quiz will be emailed to you, and you must get 8 out of 10 correct to consider passing. Once you've passed this quiz, and the fact that you've attended these modules, will get your company listed with the City and County of Denver as ready to provide electrification feasibility reports, or EFRs. So we very much so hope that you will go through all the steps. This will drive business your way, and that you find this as a helpful addition to the services that you offer and keep you in line with code and permit process changes in the City and County of Denver, and helps you take advantage of incentives and training and opportunities to make your business the best that it can be. With all of this, whether you did this all in one day or spread this out over a few weeks, we really want to thank you for the time and energy you put in to going through these modules in the video on how to use the EFR. It really is important for us that you feel comfortable and understanding where all of this is headed. So please take advantage of all the resources that we provided to you today and throughout these modules. And if you have further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Electrification@denvergov.org is a wonderful place to start. With that, thank you very much, and we appreciate you, our front lines of contractors out there working every day with building owners and working with these technologies. You're more important than you may realize, and you're important to us, and we want to thank you for spending some time with us today.